Hey everybody, it's Dr. Sasheen. It is Wednesday, the 9th of January. Yep. And I'm coming to you today, blah, 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 to talk about, what are we talking about today? Today, it's a little tough love, because it's a little tough love. It's the beginning of the year, and so we're going to talk about getting in the way and how sometimes you are in fact being your own worst enemy and your own biggest problem producer. I'm Dr. Sasheen, the Metaphysical Goddess, also known as the Metaphysical Goddess, and this is my, I don't know how many videos I've done, but this is me coming in to talk to you about the reality of how you're functioning in your relationships is not that it's not someone else who's doing something to you, and there are definitely instances where this is not about you and it is completely about somebody else, but it also is a moment for me to talk about the probably 70 to 80% of relationships where the real problem is that you're in your own way about what really makes you happy and what you really want, and so you've created this monster that you can't really get out of because, well, that would be admitting that you've created the monster. So before I jump into that, I want to put a quick plug for Fear to Freedom, the 3-month course of holistic life creation during a divorce. And what that course is designed to do is to help you go from being afraid of what's happening in the moment to getting focused on what exactly it is that you need to do to take care of your mindset, your heart set, your health set, your financial set, and your spiritual set, and get you to the freedom that you're going to want to exercise on the back end of that very traumatic, usually highly transitional phase in life. The course is open now for pre-enrollment. The course actually begins January 22nd, and so if you're interested, please drop me a line at support@sasheenmobley.com to get on the pre-enrollment wait list, and we will chat with you at that point. All right, so what are we talking about? Getting in the way. I was thinking of the Jill Scott song, Getting in the Way, and how we like to, especially when things are going poorly, we like to deflect, and we like to point to perhaps if this person would be more attentive, better lover, more financially stable, fill in the blank, then I would be happier. And the reality is that's not the case. That's not what's happening. And I'm going to caveat this next piece and say, if you're in a relationship with someone where you are being physically, emotionally, financially abused, this is not for you. This conversation is not necessarily for you. There might be some nuggets in here that you can take away, but please know, no one has the right to do those things to you. It is not your fault. You did nothing to deserve it, and it is not about it. This talk is not about you. For the rest of us, we need to look in the mirror when our relationships are going south and sideways and ask ourselves some pretty hard questions. I posted yesterday this idea about the idea that people are getting married, and we're still doing it. We're getting married in droves, so we're not going to get married, but they're getting married and they're having a lot of doubts about that marriage. Even before they say I do, they don't really want to say I do, but they're saying I do for a myriad of reasons that they don't really want to examine, so they just don't. And then what happens is, over the course of the relationship, those reasons don't go away. We just learn to deal with them, we push them aside, we subsume them under the kids, the job, we build a business, we build a house, we get a social life, and we just pretend like I really wanted to do this, and so I'm just going to go ahead and keep doing it. And that's great if it works for you. But unfortunately, what also ends up happening is that people begin to realize, almost, to the point of being, to the point of being almost in a state of depression, how little they really are enjoying the life that they've chosen for themselves. And I say chose for themselves, and if you go back and read the post that I did yesterday, I say chose because how many of you said I do because it seemed like just the thing to do at the time? You've been dating for a while. Everybody was asking about it. Everybody was talking about it. When are you all going to get married? And it was like, well, I guess I should marry you because we've been dating. And what you really wanted to say was, but I don't want to get married. Or I don't want to marry you. And this has been fun, and I'm fine dating, but I don't actually see myself spending the rest of my life with you. How many of you said yes because all your friends were married and you started to feel like the pariah because people stopped calling and wanting to hang out, and you became the single friend, and you didn't want to be the single friend, and you wanted to fit in and you didn't want to be left behind, so you're like, well, I guess I should get married, and so you married someone. didn't know, I mean, he was fine, she was fine, and now you're married and you probably have a couple kids, and okay, we'll just make it work. How many of you got married because you were getting older and it was like, oh, after a certain age, nobody's going to want to marry you, or kids after a certain age are going to be really hard and you don't want to not be able to have kids so you can get married? How many people got married because of that? People get married for a lot of reasons. That's only 3 of them. Don't freak out. They get married for a lot of reasons. The problem here is that in the relationship, those reasons don't go away. Those feelings that didn't really want to do this, they don't go away. And that's your problem. Not your spouse's problem. It's your problem. You got in your own way in the beginning by saying yes to something that you didn't want to do. And over the course of the relationship, you're still in your own way by pretending like you really, really want to do this. When deep down, you may not still, even 20 years later, you still maybe don't really want to do this. It's like that idea that people say, oh, I can't believe they were married for 20 years and then they got divorced because they grew apart. How do you grow apart? Easily. You easily grow apart because the person that you were 20 years ago when you married is not the person that you are 20 years later. There's nothing wrong with growing apart and recognizing that perhaps I should give you the freedom to pursue the kind of life that you want after being together and growing apart. You have to get in your head and figure out your purpose in your relationship. Whether you stay married or get divorced is always a personal choice. But you have to get right in your head and get out of your way, cut the excuses, cut through the chatter, and ask yourself, am I married because this is what, if I had to choose this all over again, at this point, would I choose it again? That's a good question to ask yourself. And a second really good question to ask yourself is, if the answer to that is no, what the hell am I doing here? Because guess what? Your kids will do what you show them is right, not what you tell them is right. And I keep saying this, and I'm going to keep saying it. If we're going to pass along generational anything, can we stop passing along generational dysfunction in our love lives and start passing on generational pleasure and happiness in our love lives? Okay, that's it for today. Get out of your way, get out of your head, get yourself clear on exactly why it is that you're doing relationships, and start doing relationships in the way that you want to do them. And if it's not what's happening right now, if you're not in the life that you imagine right now, then it's time to make that change. All right, that's it for this Wednesday in January from the beautiful northeast corner of the United States. Take care, everyone, and have a great day. Dr. Sasheen signing off.